Hey everyone, this is James with Peakway Software, and this is part 2 of our little pre-alpha demo tutorial series. And in this tutorial, we're going to be going over the structures tab and the buildings, fences, and bridges. So the structures tab is located on it's actually the last tab on the bottom. And so I'm going to find a flat area to start on. Let's go over here. This looks good. So we're going to start from left to right. We'll start with the fences. So basically, each one of these has a button over it, and when you click on it, you'll get a selection. And so this is like a folder hierarchy. So when you click on the folder, it'll show you what's inside of it. But you have to double click to get to subfolders. And so then you click on which one you want. If you want to see what their names are, you can click this little slider right here and scale it up until the name pops up. So we're going to use the snowy fence because it's snow level. And let's go ahead and hit the create button right there. And then all you do from there is click where you want to start and then move your mouse and start clicking. And it'll start placing the fence and automatically snap it to the terrain. And it'll keep it the same size even if you stretch it out really far. And then you can actually close these off if you want to. I'm not going to because we don't have any gate objects yet. But when I'm done, just hit enter and then you'll be out of the fence building mode. So now we can go here and hit the modify button if we want. Say we wanted to move some of these pillars a little bit. I can click it and move it. Just be aware that it scales the fence piece, so you don't want to really stretch it out too far. This is really for just small manipulations. And if you want to select it, you can move the fence. Now the cool thing about this is that when you select and move a fence, if you notice, all the pieces will adjust with the terrain automatically. So you don't have to do any tedious work on that end. You can just freely move things around. Like I said, we don't have any gate objects yet, so the place gate function doesn't really have a purpose right now. So let's go to the bridge tab next. We'll show those off. So same thing as before. We hit the button right here, and we get this thing. You get the folder hierarchy. We're going to choose the snowy brick, and these are really simple. So all you have to do is once you have the piece you want, make sure you hit the create button and you click where you want to start and then you drag out to where you want it to end and it'll automatically adjust for you. So let's make sure we're not running into any trees. So now what we can do is if we wanted to move this, we can hit select and then move it around. Now if we accidentally mess up, we can do Shift and Z, and it will undo the last thing we did. So that is basically bridges in a nutshell. I mean, it's really simple. And, they turned out, they're pretty cool. It automatically, I don't know if you noticed, but when I moved it, you can sort of see with the preview here, it automatically determines how high it needs to be, so it doesn't spawn extra geometry. Now, what we can do now is go ahead and move on to the buildings. Go ahead. Go to the buildings tab. Let's go in this flat area over here. Now this is a little bit more complicated than the other ones because there's just so much more going on. But basically you have your foundation, your floors, and your walls. You also have the triangle pieces for the ends of the roof and then the roof itself. Now when you create a building, it'll create it with all of these that are selected here. So let's go ahead and change these to the snowy ones. Snowy brick there. For the foundation, I'll choose the snowy brick as well for the walls. But again, like I said, this is the top of the folder. So to see the subfolders, hit the double click and you'll have more. So let's go to brick. Let's go down to the snow version. Wood floors are fine. So then on the bottom here we have the width and the height. So what I'm going to do is set this to 4 and set the height to, let's set the height to 3. Make it a big building. The roof end piece, I'm going to set that to brick. And then the roof, I'm going to set this to a red roof, so the red ceramic with the snow on it. So now, just like everything else though, it's as simple as just clicking and dragging. And there's the building. Now make sure you have the create building selected when you do that. So now let's actually move this building, so it's the select button. And we will pick it up so it's not flipping with the terrain. Now what you can do is if you go back to create and extend building, you can actually drag out extensions of the building. So I'm going to actually change the size here so it's even. So let's go down to 3 and get right in the middle here and pull it out. And some other cool things we can do is you can just extend the foundation if you wanted to. So you can click on create extend foundation and you can actually pull the foundation out separately. So you can also change up the widths and the heights. So let's go ahead and set the height down, set the width back to 4 so it's a little bit more even, set the height down to 2. Then you can actually pull this out as an extension. And then we can go back down to 1 again and create another extension. Just for, different looks with the buildings and change it up. You gotta be careful with this though. For example, I wouldn't be able to extrude out of this right here without breaking it. So you pretty much want to try to use it. Well, you'll sort of, when you experiment with it, you'll realize what you're able to do and what you're not. But you can't extend off of end pieces. You really do need like a nice large flat area to extend off of. So like this will be fine, but you wouldn't want to extend off of these right here, these sides, because the roofs would mess up. Now let's go ahead and get on to the sort of floor painting and the wall painting so you can change out the floors and walls and putting stairs. So what we're going to do is on the bottom here do paint walls, floors, and stairs. So now that we're on this mode, you can go into the folder hierarchies over here on the right, and let's go ahead and start with stairs. And we'll click this stair here, and then boom. So then you just hover over and click. Usually for hovering and clicking, sometimes different pieces can be a little finicky depending on the colliders. So what you want to do is aim in the middle of where you're trying to click to get the preview to come up usually. Now let's go to floors. Let's do the snow version of the sort of city stone. And you can actually click and drag for like floors and walls as well. And let's add some walls on the outside here, just so it's like to keep people from falling off, I guess. So let's go to watchtower and let's do the short ones that have snow on top. We can sort of add walls on the outside here. And so this same wall system works with the building as well. So you click on the whatever you want, let's click the door. Then we have all these different pieces with different wood patterns that we can use to sort of try and change it up and sort of break this tiling that you see. So you can select different windows and create different patterns. Now, I'm not going to go through and do every single piece here because it's just to show you how it works in the video. So what would be next? All right, let's go inside and I will show you some neat little things in there. So if you look inside, you'll see that it created the floor and there's different stories and grounds for every floor. What we can do is we can delete out floors and walls or floors in to sort of make an open area that you can sort of look down onto. So what we'll do is go to delete walls, floors, and stairs. And let's go ahead and sort of towards this middle here, let's just sort of carve out a nice section here. Gotta be careful not to delete. Actually, let's undo because I deleted something I didn't want to. Alright, so this should be good enough to start. And then let's go back to painting objects, and we will do stairs. Let's go back to stairs. Select the wood stair, and then like I said, look for the middle of where you want to paint, and then you can click down, and then we can go back to walls and select like a railing for the inside so you don't fall off. Also click and drag. Sometimes if you hover over things, it'll show the preview, but once you click it down, it should go back to normal. And then there, so now you have sort of like an open balcony inside, and we could go to the, well, this is actually on the second level, I wasn't even paying attention. So I'm actually going to want to create an opening so I can walk up there. So let's go to this side over here and just do a basic staircase again. So let's delete the floors out, oh sorry, delete walls, not delete selection. Let's go back to paint. And make sure I'm hovering over the right things, and then when I click it'll reset. Alright, so now that we did that, let's go ahead and test this out. So now what we're going to do is go to settings, set player start, shift click to rotate the little arrow for facing position. Now let's go ahead and hit play. And we will start off, and we're on first person view. We can sort of check out what we just did. First person, so let's go up the stairs. And so, you know, in a lot of other games, or even like, you know, level design tools, a building like this would probably take a long time just for the walls and the floors. But, you know, we did that in a, like, you know, really fast, you know, a couple of minutes. If I wasn't sort of walking you through it, you can do this really fast. So of course you can jump. You can also look out the windows, so you don't load into buildings. You can actually look out the windows and see what's outside. Now let's go ahead and let's go back to edit mode. So I want to hit tab to get my mouse cursor free again, and then go back to edit island. So let's go back and fly over there. Now one more cool thing I want to show off. Actually, no, but there is one more thing I have to do. So I wanted to show you just the foundations on their own. So we have a foundation system. So just like the you know, the bottom of the building, we can actually just create straight up foundations. So I'm going to change the floor to the snowy version now. And so I can just click and drag foundations. And then I can select them and move them around. And with these, you can really get creative and do all sorts of crazy stuff. I think in the Kickstarter video I mentioned doing pixel art. Basically what I was talking about was like zooming out really far and like changing the floor tiles out and like, you know, extending foundations to do crazy shapes. So basically, let's see. So now you can extend them. Let's go set it to 1 just to play around with it a little bit. So you basically click where you want, extend the foundation out, play around with it, do sorts of different things. And then what you can do is go to stairs, and you can also place stairs and stuff down on foundations. So let's make sure we're looking at the middle. We'll click. I think I wasn't looking at the middle when I tried to click before, so it didn't register. So that one should register. Now the one cool thing is, like, you know, you could make like escalated cities with this, you know, like put buildings up on top of these foundations and stuff. And it actually end up taking a long time if you have to paint them every time. So we actually have a duplicate function. So if I click this foundation and start to move it and then hit Shift and D, it creates a duplicate. And I can move this duplicate around and place it down. So let's move it over here, I guess. And then same thing, if we went into play mode, you know, we can go and run up on this and place objects down on this and put floors down on it and walls. So I'll show you, I could put, you know, I could do railing. Well, wood railing wouldn't really make sense on this, but I'm just showing you that you could put walls on these. And so one thing I'll do for this on different levels is I'll use them to make like docks, which is pretty cool. You'll set it to wood and then use like pillars for the foundation. And so like you make docks, and so this, you know, I expect to see like a lot of crazy stuff come out of this because it's a lot more creative freedom than the buildings to give you. And the same duplicate function actually works for buildings too, if I'm not mistaken. So I should be able to just hit Shift D and then move this building over. So, you know, you can use this obviously on a big, you know, sort of unique building like this. You probably wouldn't want to use it, but you know, this would help you create cities faster. And also, when you're in select building mode, you can Shift and click just like I did with the player start earlier, and then move your mouse around and it'll rotate the building. And that's about it for the basics of buildings and foundations. We're going to move on to the next tutorial soon. Alright, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, one quick thing I did forget to add on the end of this last video. So you can also just delete buildings and foundations by just clicking on them and selecting them and then hitting the delete button. I know that's sort of a common sense thing, but I just wanted to make that clear before I headed on and started doing other videos. But alright, now we'll officially see you in the next tutorial.